From a professional soccer career to becoming a driving force in the mortgage industry, Brian Covey has shown what it takes to find your competitive edge. Get off the sidelines and get in the game. Find your competitive edge with Brian Covey.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Finding Your Competitive Edge. So today, I'm going to tell you, not only do I have a friend, mentor, somebody that's been advising me, but literally, when I say this, I mean it, has changed my life and trajectory by teaching me, mentoring me, and helping me understand what the heck is a personal brand? Why does it matter? I mean, I'm in mortgage. Most people in mortgage don't even think about building a brand. And I will tell you, along that journey, it's been self-discovery, self-development, and the connections that have been made through this process have changed my life and my family. And so I'm inviting you today, tune in, grab a pen and paper, because you want to learn not only the tactics, the fundamentals, and all the things there, but I want you to think about the psychology of how people interact, where you are today and where you want to go. The missing piece could be, do you have a brand? I would tell you do. But is it what you want it to be in the marketplace? That could take you to the next level. And our guest today, Rory Vaden, you probably know from Brand Builders Group. You've seen it on Ed Milet's podcast. I read his book many years ago, Procrastinate. One of my biggest issues, take the stairs. So our family actually has a motto around that. We're going to talk about some of that and a whole lot more. So welcome my good friend today, Rory Vaden.
What's up, my brother? What an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
We get to switch seats. After last week, I'm at your accelerator event, Brand Builders Group. Shout out to the people there.
Come on.
And I got to tell you what, I go to a lot of these events, networking events, different things there. The people, how we were invited in, and the connections I made afterwards were like, we have 10 to 11 people I know for sure I've already taken offline. We're meeting and we're helping each other collaborate. So one, I got to thank you because
love that.
I've not been to an event, and thank you for calling me out.
Yeah. You've had access to our events for a year.
Yeah.
And you finally made your way to one, but okay, you made it.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you,
think of how successful you could have been. No, just kidding.
I know. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, is how do people go from where they are and the things that they're not doing? Because I recognize that was something I was not doing.
Well, that's so cool. I mean, in all reality, I think you are so cool, Brian. Like, I believe in you so much. And one of the things I love about what you're doing, obviously we get a lot of recognition for the celebrities we're working with, Ed Milet and Lewis Howes and, Amy Porterfield and Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, all those amazing people. But I think what you're doing is perhaps more innovative than any of them, which is you're using your personal brand to drive your professional business, not a side hustle, not a course creation or like an information product, which is great. That's our world, right? But to go using your personal brand to drive leads and trust for the things you're already doing. And I think of all the people in our world and our universe who are doing that, like, you are one of the best in the world. Like, you are one of the first in the world to really grasp, to go, even if I don't have a book or a course or a coaching program or masterminds, like, I'm building my personal brand and I'm just using it to grow my existing business. And it boggles my mind how the rest of the world has not yet caught on to this. And hopefully anybody watching you is going, that is what Brian Covey's doing. And it is working. And look at all the people that are following this guy and look at how it's blowing up your business. So anyways, props to you, bro.
Well, I'm going to rewind that when I need that extra motivation was there. But I do want to dive into that because last week, I love the simplicity of how we started the event. And AJ was going through what is a personal brand and what it's not. And so for people listening, I'd love to break that down because you guys do this better than anyone else. Just shout out to Brand Builders Group, what you guys have created. But I think people struggle with what is a personal brand and what is it not?
Yeah, I think that's part of why people don't do it, because let's start with what it's not, because what it's not is a lot of what people think it is. People think, a personal brand is social media. It's dancing on Reels. It's TikTok. It is starting a podcast. It is having to travel on the road and speak. They think it is any number of these things that they go, well, I don't really want to do that or like to do that. And like a lot of people don't even like social media at all. And that's the wrong way to think about it, because the way that we define personal branding is that it is simply the digitization of reputation. Digitization of reputation. This is not about social media. It's not about followers. It's not about likes. It is about trust. It is about the same thing that real business is about, offline business is about, humans and trust. The only difference is that when you build a personal brand, when you digitize your reputation, what you're doing is you're automating trust at scale, right? Like when we first started working with Lewis Howes, he had like 30 million total downloads already, which, I think it took him like 6 years maybe to get to that number. And then in the first couple of years we started working with him, he went from 30 million to 500 million downloads. Wow. And he exploded. Didn't change his calendar, right? He was doing the same rhythm of time, but the thing about content marketing is that content marketing scales. It builds trust. We trust the people we see, we trust the people that we know intimate details about, and we trust the people we learn from. And that's what this is. So personal branding is not about social media, and it's not a business model. It's not, you have to, create a course or do live events or do masterminds or be a keynote speaker. I think the world has missed. I think so much of the world still thinks of it as that way. And that's why I gave you the compliment in the beginning to go, no. What people are waking up to slowly is going, I'm just going to use this to accelerate my reputation in what I'm doing right now. And one of the things that makes us really unique is monetization strategy. Mm-hmm. So this is one of our gifts. In fact, AJ and I are hardcore Bible thumping Jesus freaks. Like we don't hide that. You don't have to believe what we believe in that realm, but we put that out there. And AJ took a test. I don't know if you've ever heard this. AJ took a test in her Bible study for her spiritual giftedness. AJ is my wife and our CEO and my co-founder. So she took this test. Her spiritual giftedness is making money.
Wow. Sugar mama. That's all I'm saying.
You did well.
I mean, like jackpot. So, we have a gift for helping mission-driven messengers monetize their knowledge and expertise. And we really work with mission-driven messengers. It's not that they don't care about money. They do. It's just that money is subservient to the mission. Revenue is subservient to reputation. Income is subservient to impact. That's what our community is all about. And, you see the people that we're working with, like, they're winning because there's not the slime factor of I'm trying to sell you something, I need to make money off of you, how can I just hack my way to more followers? It's how do we automate trust at scale?
I love that you went through all that. And people want to rewind that because that is one where when you're sharing what it is and what it's not, what we found out, that impact piece you talk about, everybody says they want impact. I want impact. I want to do these things. But they often fall into the trap that we see this person on Instagram driving the nice car, nice watches, nice houses, and you just think, man, that's what it is. But what I found is you pull back the curtain a little bit and it's shallow and it doesn't have the substance that I've said. What I love about brand builders and what we've built our brand on is I've been married 21 years. I have 3 kids. Yes, building a business is important, but my faith, my family, my fitness, and yes, my finances do matter. You can do all of those integrated versus these brands that exist online. And we all know those people. You meet them in person and go, I don't want that life. Because outside of making money, it's shallow and they don't have it. And so I'd love for you to talk about this because I don't think people get this. They talk about mission driven. People are like, my why, my purpose, and how that ties into their brand. Mm-hmm. Often they're disconnected. So how do those connect for somebody listening going, this is what I believe I'm called to do. I think I have some gifts here, some skills, some passion. How does that even become a brand?
Well, yeah. So this is another thing that personal branding is not. Ironically, your personal brand is not about you. That's what everyone thinks is like, oh, let me show off. I have to show off my cars, my house, my whatever, my food that I'm eating, right? Like, in reality, the way that we think of personal branding is that your personal brand is not about you. It's not for you. It's your personal brand is about the people that you were created to serve. That there is a divine calling on your life to use your expertise, your experiences, your background, your knowledge to impact another person. So when we say mission driven, that's what we're talking about. In fact, the best piece of personal branding advice I've ever received came from a guy named Larry Winget. I wish this was a Rory quote, but it's not. And he said, the goal is to find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. Find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. That's what a personal brand is about. It's about exploiting your talents, your gifts, your knowledge in the service of others. And all of us have them. In fact, one of the shortcuts, so we have 14 topics in our curriculum, 14 different 2-day experiences or 14 courses. There's just people interact with us differently. But our first one, Finding Your Brand DNA, which is like our flagship, everyone starts here, is where we help people find their uniqueness. And obviously I can't walk you through the whole 2-day thing right now, but I'll tell you the shortcut. So the shortcut to help someone find their uniqueness, and we only realize this after working with about 1,700, it took us about 1,500 plus clients, and we started to notice this pattern, and it's so simple. It's just realizing that you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. You are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. It's not about being the smartest person in the world or the richest or the most famous. It's about who can you reach back to, who are the people you can go back and help who are on the journey that you once were. That is the shortest, fastest, most guaranteed path to finding your uniqueness. And so our process is about basically extracting that from you, then bottling it up, sort of commoditizing it, and then presenting that to the world as not, I'm the expert on all the things, but here's the one thing that I know something about because I've spent my life living it and learning it, and now I can share that with others. And that's a mission. That's a mission. And it's one of the things I wish people knew about personal branding is if you're trying to sell to somebody, you either win or you lose. But if you're trying to serve someone, you can only win. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you can only win. And so it's like if you're trying to get more followers, you can win or lose. You accomplish that or you don't. But if you focus on just impacting whoever the people are in front of you in the deepest way, you always win. You only win. And so it's changing the scoreboard. A lot of our clients, I mentioned like some of our clients have millions of followers. Like ET has 5 million followers. We're working with Ryan Serhant right now. He's got millions of followers. Yeah. Trent Shelton, these guys have millions of followers. These are clients of ours, right? But that's not the majority of who we work with. And I've never had millions of followers. Like my TED Talk got millions of views, but like outside of that, I've never had millions of followers. You don't need millions of followers to make millions of dollars, first of all. And you don't need millions of followers to win. You have to serve whoever's in front of you in a deeper way.
Hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
I love that. And I love that you said, here's what I wish people knew, because a lot of times there's getting advice online, and you often find there's people teaching about how to build your brand, but it all is all about followers and count and, to your point of like
hacks and
all these hacks to get
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
And I love that you go to the core of it. If somebody's wondering, okay, I want to find my uniqueness, I have the story and the things there, where should they really start with some of that to
start to introspectively figure out, like, who am I uniquely called to serve?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is you should go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey, request a free call with us, because we do the first call with everyone free, because we're very human, right? Like, even though we use AI for a lot of the tactical stuff, we really, we're a one-on-one coaching company, one-on-one training company. Like, we do human stuff. We also have our virtual courses, but it's like those are supplements to a human experience. And so we do the first call with everybody for free to just hear their story. So that's a very tactical step. But like, separate of that, if you were like resistant to talking to us, what I would say is ask yourself, what challenge have I conquered? What obstacle have I overcome? What setback have I survived? What tragedy have I triumphed over? Mm-hmm. Whatever your uniqueness lies right at the epicenter of the answers of those questions. Take me and AJ as an example. Just take me as an example. If somebody wants to become a New York Times bestselling author, a Hall of Fame speaker, have a TED Talk go viral, build an 8-figure personal brand without having millions of followers, there's really no one in the world. There would only be maybe a few people in the world as qualified to help you do that as me. That's what I spent my life doing. Mm-hmm. Now, you might not care about any of that stuff. You go, I don't care about my personal brand. I don't care about like being a speaker, author, top podcast or whatever. I'm not your guy, right? Like, I'm not your guy. But if those are dreams that you go, I would love to do that. I would love to speak in arenas. You go, there's not that many people more qualified than me to teach you, because that's what I spent my life doing. That's true for all of us, right? I know the heartbreak. I know the heartbreak of trying to get the book deal. I know the sadness of walking into an airport bookstore, looking at the books and going, how do you get your book? How do I get my book on that shelf? And how do I get that New York Times bestseller thing on it? Like, what do you have to do? I know that heartbreak and that success in that journey. And the same is true about you listening. Like, there is a journey that you have been on. And I think what a lot of people do, and what a lot of what you hear online is, how do I make money the fastest? And I think that's the wrong question to ask. I think the better question to ask is, what audience can I serve in the deepest way? Mm-hmm. Who do I know the best, right? Like, and it's who you've been, right? Nobody knows that psyche better, right? If someone's in the mortgage business, I'm like, I don't care if they love their job or not. I'm like, you got to listen to Brian Covey. Like, you got to follow this dude. Like, he is the influencer in this space, and he knows that business inside and out. Not just that, other things too, but that's your world, right? If somebody is listening and they're doing loans and they don't like their job, it'd be like, you would be stupid not to come work with Brian, because he can serve you in a deep way. He knows everything about that business. It's interesting. So I'm about to actually, so yesterday I had a call with Gary Keller from Keller Williams. Oh yeah. So I am keynoting at the Keller Williams National Convention with Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Cody Sanchez. That's awesome. It's a great lineup. There's 17,000 agents coming to this, right? And so we had our pre-event call yesterday. And so, he's had a lot of our clients speak at his event, because like Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is one of our clients. She's speaking there. She just hit New York Times. We helped her with that. And Molly Fletcher keynoted their event last year. She's a client. Ed keynoted, and he's a client. Like, so, Gary was like, I know all of your clients. I've hired all of them. I want you to come talk about personal branding. And I said, well, Gary, I'm a little bit confused on, how do you think personal branding applies to somebody who works at Keller Williams? Like, Keller Williams is such a big brand. Like, don't you want your agents to represent like Keller Williams? He said, Rory, I built Keller Williams by building my personal brand. I was one of the first people to have my own radio show, to write my own books, to become a New York Times bestselling author, to create courses. And he said, you build a real estate business by building your personal brand. He said, I want you to teach all my people that if they don't own their personal brand, then they don't own their business. Mm-hmm. I don't care about Keller Williams being first. This blew my mind. I was sitting there like my jaw dropped. I'm like, this is Gary Keller of Keller Williams going, it's all about the personal brand. He's like, now compliance, they have to list Keller Williams somewhere, but he's like, it can be in the fine print. He goes, I don't care. They need to be the mayor of their town. They need to be the mayor of their market. They need their friends and family to know and trust them. And I said, okay, so you think that they should just use their personal brand to drive leads for real estate? And he's like, well, yes, but they should write books. They should create courses. They should be talking about anything they can talk about that's useful to the people in their life. And I was like, I can't believe that I'm hearing this right now. And then it hit me. I was like, that is what he did. Mm-hmm. That's how he became who he is. And he believes in that. And so he's teaching the agents to do that. And I was like, wow, I was just blown away. I thought that was really cool.
So you thought I'd been the opposite.
I thought it would have been the opposite. I thought it would have been like, this is Keller Williams. We're one of the biggest real estate companies in the world. Like, they need to bleed the red and white and like put the KW. And it was like, not that at all. He's like, it's because he said, he's like, it's not about me. It's not about Keller Williams. It's about them, that agent, their friends, their family. And I'm going, no wonder why they're still growing. Like, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I would say my experience has been, there's been a lot of companies, real estate, mortgage, they will promote you to promote their brand. That's why they built. And so I think that's where that friction lies. Is I've been part of those organizations where it's like, you got to promote our company. And if you promote your personal brand, it's almost a
conflict.
Yeah. So I'd love for you to talk about that, because people listening out there, I've gone through that, Rory. And it's like, there's this friction that exists. And sometimes it's said, sometimes it's unspoken of, when you start to build a personal brand, you have a book, you do a podcast, people are like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And why are you not promoting like my company or the brand? How does someone deal and work through that?
Well, I honestly believe that that scarcity mind, it is scarcity.
It is.
That is, call it what it is. If companies are afraid to have their people build a personal brand, it is a scarcity mindset. They are afraid. That's what it is. This is fear. Fear that they're going to become big and famous and they're going to leave or they're going to have more influence than the company. It is fear-based. And we have the data to prove this. By the way, we did a Trends in Personal Branding national research study, weighted to the U.S. Census, completely statistically valid, PhD-led, academically verified, like on how more valuable companies are when the executives of the company have a personal brand. So you can if you go to roryvadenblog.com, you can download this. It's still up there. You can download the whole study. There's a whole section on that. When the executives of a company have personal brand, Americans are more likely to trust the company, work for the company, refer the company, hire the company, and pay more money on average for the exact same service from that company versus another company, because they connect with an individual person at the company. So this is scarcity thinking, it's legacy thinking, it's old, it's outdated, it's fear-based, and it's weakness. And here's what I'm realizing just now for the first time ever. The same thing that happens in your personal life, right? Like if you are smoking weed and drinking booze and playing video games constantly and just talking smack about women or race or like whatever you're doing, like if you're just like wasting time, and one day you wake up and you go, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to stop talking like that about people. I'm going to be more faithful in my relationships. Your friend group at that moment is going to be upset because your change in behavior is highlighting deep insecurities that they have about themselves. Anytime you upgrade your thinking and upgrade your behavior, it exposes the insecurity of the people who are currently set in that thinking. And what they do is they often lash out, sometimes quietly, sometimes more directly. Well, a lot of us are aware of that dynamic in our personal lives, right? You are the average of your 5 best friends, and you
That's
make
right.
the average income. We get that. What I'm realizing is that's what's happening at companies right now. As soon as an executive goes, I want to share my expertise with the world, not because I want to be famous, not because I need to, have a bunch of followers, but because I want to make a difference. And by the way, most of the people who do that, they're not trying to create an escape path from the company they're at. If they were trying to, they would be doing it in secret.
Correct.
Right? They're doing it in the open. They're usually, and this again, why I go, you are the example. You're going, I'm doing this in the open, and I'm doing it to drive awareness and attention to my company, to my business, to the thing that I'm doing, which is smart for you because it's the fastest path to cash. Like if you have to go create all these other, products and stuff, like you don't have time for all that. It's a lot of work. And you already have a vehicle to monetize. I think about like all the network marketers, and I'm going, you should build a monster personal brand. And the point of it should be to sell whatever the thing is that you sell in network marketing.
Yes.
If you're a financial advisor, you should build a monster personal brand, and the goal should be to sell more financial services that you're providing. Like you could do these other things, and like Gary Keller was very forward thinking even now, going like, yeah, write a book, do a course, but that's not your main business model. Your main thing should be your main thing. But I think there's a lot of scarcity. I'm 100% sure there is a lot of scarcity from legacy executives and companies that go, well, if you're building your personal brand, you're not committed to our thing. That's not true. It might be true, but they're completely irrespective of one another.
Right.
It is possible to build a personal brand and be completely committed to company, completely loyal, to use, promote the company, and it's right in your bio, and it's the company's logo. And sure, maybe you have a Brian Covey logo, but you also have your company logo, and you're not hiding it. It's not in your bio. And look, if you look at how many people follow Elon Musk versus follow Tesla, how many people follow Richard Branson versus follow Virgin, how many people follow like Steve Jobs, so many of these. If you think of like Spanx, right? The founder of Spanx, Sarah Blakely. Like, we don't trust companies. We trust people.
That's right.
We understand people. People are like us. Companies are these nameless, faceless, nebulous entities that sometimes treat us well, and sometimes they lay us off, and sometimes they make good products, and sometimes they make products that kill us. But if I know Brian, and I go, I know Brian, I know this dude. Like, I see him at church, I see him with his family, I listen to his show. Like, I've heard hundreds of hours of this dude. I know who he is. I trust Brian. If Brian is an executive at a mortgage company, I want the whole world that trusts Brian to go, and Brian goes, and here's where I plant my flag, at this company, because I believe in this company. How is that hurting the company? It is not. It is not. It is fear and scarcity and insecurity. And in some ways, it is also going, I should be doing what Brian's doing, and I don't know how. I don't want to put in the work, or I don't want to put in the time, and it's highlighting that. So anyways, I'm fortunate that I can say that now because I'm an entrepreneur. I couldn't always say that before, but if Gary Keller is saying it, and the data is saying it, and we're seeing the results with people like you, it's going, the next big wave of personal branding is not course creators and podcasters. It's professional service providers and executives going, I'm using my knowledge. And by the way, you already do this.
That's right.
You're already teaching, your 5 ways to get out of debt at your nightly seminar to drive leads to set appointments for your financial services company. You're already running seminars at your chiropractic firm on here's how 10 ways to reduce stress. It's already been that way. But that's why we say personal branding is the digitization of reputation. And once you understand that, you go, okay, personal branding is not new. It's an extension of the concept of reputation, which has been around a long time. And a company wants to have employees that represent them well. And you think about the free marketing too, by the way.
Oh, it's tremendous.
How many impressions come to your mortgage company from Brian Covey being out there reaching millions of people? it's worth something.
Yeah.
And, it gets more traction probably than a lot of the marketing departments can get because it's a person.
Well, and they see that. We've even talked with our marketing team about look at the impressions like this week with the Mortgage Bankers event and speaking out there. And it's like, here's Brian, EVP at Revolution Mortgage. And it's like, Revolution Mortgage, I need to go check that out. Well, that's the process. And I love what you said too, because I do believe you said it better than I've tried to articulate this before, but it is the fear base. It is insecurities. And I do believe that last part I'd love for you to expand on is the executives that are typically in those buckets of the insecurities and fear, they don't know what to do. They don't understand it. And so it's like, well, this is different. It's almost like that movie my kids watch, The Croods. They're like, oh, we don't know this. So we don't want to go towards that. If there's an executive listening, you've kind of talked about the importance of personal brand. They should start their journey, book your free brand call, right?
Sure.
Or just put that out there. But help them expand on why that's important for them as an executive. Because I think there's still this disconnect between what they see. They see other people maybe even doing it, and they're like, man, maybe I booked my call, but like, why should I do that as an executive?
Well, yeah, and I also don't want to be. I want to have empathy too for the reality of like we have shareholders and a company mission objectives. Those things are important, and they're not in conflict here. But what I would say is, if you're an executive and you're scared about how people building their personal brands might hurt your company, it's just because it's unfamiliar to you. When my grandparents first saw a website that asked you to put your credit card number into it, they freaked out. It was so unfamiliar. AJ's grandmother, so she passed away a few years ago, but she lived to be, I think, 103, 104. Wow. She lived before there were airplanes. I remember her telling us the story the first time that she saw an airplane. Imagine the first time someone's like, come into this aluminum can and take off in the air at hundreds of miles an hour and fly like, imagine how uncomfortable it was. Just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do and it's not the direction that things are headed. Ultimately, this is about trust and reputation and humans and people, and all of the same old school principles of business and sales and personal relationships apply. We're just digitizing it. Yeah. We're just amplifying it. And I think when you think personal branding, it feels scary and awkward and unfamiliar. When you think reputation, you go, of course, reputation. Of course, always. And that's part of why we define it that way. That's part of what we had to realize. So I think, in terms of tactically, what does somebody do? Where you go, okay, this is new to me. How do I start this? You don't have to have a fancy podcast studio. You don't have to have, a bunch of followers. Our entire content marketing strategy that we do, that Rory Vaden Personal Brand does, Brand Builders Group does, our 800 active clients, our high-profile celebrity clients, all of us, millions of followers to 0 followers. The whole strategy is simple. Teach everything you know for free, but do it in small bite-sized chunks in all random miscellaneous order. Teach everything you know for free in small bite-sized chunks and on all random miscellaneous order. And people go, well, if I teach everything I know for free, why would somebody buy from us if I just gave away all my knowledge for free? And the answer is because people don't pay for information. People pay for organization and application. Mm-hmm. Right? You could teach everything there is to know about home loans. At the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to learn all this crap. I want to hire someone to just do this for me.
That's right.
And that is true about everything. It's like, I want to have a podcast. I don't want to learn about every freaking camera and cord. I just want to hire someone to do this for me. But how else am I going to trust you, the random guy sending me cold DMs, or the guy who shows up in my Instagram feed going, hey, here's the newest camera. And by the way, here's the camera you want if you're just starting out. And this one's under $200. And if you want a list of all the other gear guides, just like, put a comment below and I'll send you my gear guide.
Yeah.
You go, yeah, I think I'll go with that dude. So it's as simple as teaching everything you know. And this is the beauty too, is like everyone in your company has a different expertise. And it's not just expertise, it's also your story, right? You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. Which company do you want to work for? The one where the only thing you know about the company is the company logo and like their, vision and values that are on the company, but you're not sure like how they got there? Or do you want to work for the company where you hear the story about Jamie Kern-Lima starting a business in her leaving Denny's and starting a business in her living room and then hustling and growing that to $1 billion brand, right? And those stories, we do business with people and people have stories. And one of the biggest mistakes that personal brands make is everyone tells themselves, no one cares about my story. My story is not interesting. And the answer, the truth is, just about everyone is interested in your story.
Yeah.
Because all of our stories are like a movie. Every single person you meet is like a walking, talking movie. And you go, what's the hardest thing that ever happened to you? What's the most exciting thing that ever happened to you? Where did you come from? What was your family like? Because it's when you have a conversation with a human, it's like watching a movie. They're going, oh my gosh. If you just ask them, tell me the highest and lowest points of your life. That's the other content strategy I would share. What are the highest points of your life? Tell us that story. What are the lowest points of your life?
Yeah.
Tell us that story. What were the biggest learning moments? One of my most viral videos was one called, it was about the most expensive marketing mistake I ever made. And it was how I tell the story of how I mistitled my second book. People love that story. And I was like, I can't believe this. Of all the things I post, and I teach a lot of stuff where it's like, if you actually did this, you'd make a lot of money. That's the thing they listen to, not the 7 ways to, grow your income by next week. It's the story of Rory being an idiot and convincing his publisher to do a title that they told him not to do. Yeah. And everyone's like, Rory's an idiot. That's so great. We love it. It's your story.
Yeah.
Share your story.
They connect with it. So I'd love for you to talk about this, because this is what I've learned on the personal brand journey. As I call it, it's this journey, the self-development and what you learn about yourself. And you said earlier about your most powerfully positioned to serve you once were. I think about Brian 5 years ago, Brian 10 years ago, and I just had this vision of where I'm going to be in 5 years from now. I love 5-year blocks. How does that work together? Because I do feel like it's this untapped personal development journey of you're a better husband, a better friend to people, you're a better leader. And so for anybody listening, you're wondering, man, what is the other side of this personal brand? I have yet to find, and I love coaching. I'll be the first one to say I love coaching. But this journey has exposed things in my life that I need to improve, that I need to get better at. To your point earlier, the seasons that I struggled the most, and you get comfortable talking about them. So I'd love for you to talk about how that's been for you and your clients, what you see on that personal development journey in the brand.
Yeah, no one's ever asked me that question before, and I will say this. Before you can build a strong personal brand, you have to build a strong personal character. And the reason why, my pastor shared this with me one time. He said, your influence will never grow wider than your character runs deep. Anytime your influence gets wider than your character runs deep, there's an implosion, right? And we see celebrity examples of this pretty regularly. I won't name the names, but you see this happen, is somebody gets more influence than their character can't support it, right? It's like building a house with a huge roof where it's like the foundation can't support it. So to build a great personal brand, you must first build strong personal development. And one of the frameworks that I created, in fact, the whole Rory Vaden personal brand, I use a master framework called the 4 levels of influence. And so level 1 is personal development. And that is influencing yourself to take action. And my first book, Take the Stairs, hit New York Times. My second book, Procrastinate on Purpose, 5 Permissions to Multiply Your Time. Those are really personal development works, right? And they're about you getting the most out of yourself in your life. Level 2 influence is moving from influencing yourself to influencing another person, one-on-one. So the common word for that is sales. Is going, how do I have one-on-one conversations with people, build relationships, influence another person? And that was what we spent 12 years doing at our first company. So our first company was a sales training company. We started that from 0. We grew that to 200 people. That was an 8-figure business. We sold that in 2018. And when I was in college, I went door to door, did sales. Like that was how I got my start. So that's level 2 influence. Level 3 influence is being able to influence a group of people, like a team. That's leadership or entrepreneurship. A lot of the speaking that I do in corporations is more on like either personal development or leadership. And so it's understanding, how do I activate a group of people to do something? And then level 4 influence is personal branding, which is influencing a community. How do I create a movement? How do I inspire people that I may never talk to, that I may never see? How do I use the spoken word, the written word, technology, tools, video, etc., to help create impact on people that I may never actually meet or even talk to? That, and that's what's happening, and it's so inspiring to see so many, so many of the people I'm just like a fanboy of, to see them succeeding at this is going, yeah, there is a real strong connection here, because if you get too famous and you don't have the right foundation, you're going to crumble. And that's why, we also, even though it's not a formal part of our curriculum, we're so open about being hardcore Bible thumping Jesus freaks.
Yeah.
Because you go, man, if you're chasing the fame, if you're chasing the followers, or if you're chasing the dollar, like eventually those are not foundations to build your life on.
Yeah.
Right?
Catches up with you.
Totally. And it just doesn't satisfy, right? It's
That's
like,
right.
It doesn't, there's no amount of money that suddenly makes you feel whole. There's no amount of fame or followers that make you feel like complete. Ironically, the thing that does make you feel complete is service. If I serve one person, if I go in my whole life, if one other person's life is better because of me, I have deep satisfaction. I have deep joy. And that's what Jesus said, right? He said, love God, love others.
That's right.
Another word for love is serve.
Yes.
I mean, that's what love looks like in real life is not hugs and kisses. It's service. I am serving you. I am, my email signature says at your service. Like what can I do for you? Because and on the surface, it's like, oh, that maybe looks selfless, but in reality, it's selfish, because I'm going, this is what gives me joy. This is what gives me impact. And one of the things that, if you're listening and you're brand new to the whole personal branding digital part, is so many times people criticize themselves because they post their first videos, and sometimes their first 100 videos, and they get 8 views. 12 views. And then you go look at Jay Shetty, who's not a client of ours. I don't even know Jay Shetty, but like you go look at Jay Shetty and it's like 5 bazillion video views, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I suck. Like, look at what Jay Shetty, look at what Mel Robbins is doing. Look at what Brene Brown is doing. Like, why I'm not even wasting my time for these 12 views. And what I would tell you is, treat your online audience like an offline room. Think of your online audience as an offline room, because while online you would go, man, 27 views? What a waste of time. In an offline world, if I said there's 27 people next door, they're ready for your presentation. For most of us, our heart rate would speed up. We'd be excited. We're like, wow, I have a chance to impact these 27 lives.
Yeah.
That is how it is. Every time you push record on the camera or on the mic, that is how it is. You don't need millions of followers to make millions of dollars. You also don't need millions of followers to make a massive impact. And you tell me, who makes the bigger impact in the world? The person with 1 million followers, or the person who adopts one baby that has no parents? Like, we have to remember that impact is not only about the width of our reach, but about the depth of our service, right? You adopt one kid, that is a massive impact on the world, right? And who knows what happens to that one kid if you don't show up and do that, right? So too many people are just chasing width and volume, and they're forgetting about depth. And I think that's what they're missing. at least that's our philosophy, right? All these are our personal branding philosophies.
I think it's why you attract people like myself or others in your community is one of the best. I can't say enough about it, because I walk in a room last week and I go, man, these are my people. And they're in all these different industries and different aspirations, different levels, all that. And you go, but we have this common core belief system around service matters, right? And we want to go deeper versus wide. I didn't hear anybody go, I want to be the next, best-selling whatever. It's like, who can I serve? And I love that you said that, because people listening to this will resonate, because I know this, even this week where I was blown away, and Britt was with me. We're speaking at the Mortgage Bankers event, right? They had great turnout, 170 people. Normally it's like 60. And people come up, and I want to remind everybody, I'll share part of my story with this, is I had people that never respond, never send me any note. I don't even know if they've watched my stuff. And they came up and they said, hey man, I appreciate you posting what you do in our industry. Thank you for being a leader. And I'm like, I didn't even know you watched it. And so don't let those, because I let that happen sometimes too. Of how many views, how many this. The reality is, in that room, to your point, 170 people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
That we get a chance to impact. And so whatever you're given, 2 people, 200 people, you've taught me that, is like, just show up and serve those people. Whoever's there, and then it grows.
Well, yeah, and the other irony here is the way you make money is not by attracting new people, it's by serving your current people in a deeper way. Right?
That's gold.
Look what you're doing here. You're going, I'm a client. I'm going to tell everybody about Brand Builders Group. Again, freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey.
Don't miss that call.
And we pay referral fees to people, right? But we could pay referral fees to anybody. We really only do it for clients, because we want to serve our clients in such a deep way that they go out and tell everybody. Instead of chasing strangers on the internet, if you pay attention to the 10 clients you have now, if every client you had now felt completely loved on, completely overwhelmed with service, completely inundated with you over-delivering for them. If every client you had now felt that way, and they all referred you one person, your business would double. Versus strangers on the internet, a percentage of a percentage of a percentage. Again, even though we do those things, and because it's impact at scale, the real way to grow your business is through human referrals, relationships. Serve the people in front of you. Your next customer is not really the stranger online. Your next customer lives in the cell phone of your current customer. That is where the money is, right? And this is the difference between impact and monetization. Monetization is not like we got to have a bazillion followers. And I love this, because somebody asked me, they said this recently, they said, gosh, Rory, it's interesting that, all of these people have hired you, Tom and Lisa bill you, and all of these different personal brands that we've worked with. They all have so many more followers than you. And I said, yeah, that's true. And part of that is because we don't pay as much attention. Clearly, you can see our philosophy is not so much, it's like serving the current people. But I said, if everyone was thinking straight, they would not be going, who are the people with the most followers? They would be going, who are the people that make the most money from the fewest amount of followers? And let me do what those people do. And so, our revenue per follower is probably higher than just about anyone on the internet. And that's because of the philosophy is serve the people in a deeper way. And the whole 27 video views. The other thing you never know is you never know how much that one person watching it really changed their life. They've never heard about, whatever the concept is. So I just think, and I think a lot of the people are not building a personal brand, and a lot of the companies that are not doing it, it may not be because they're, totally antiquated or scared. It's because they perceive that building a personal brand is fame. It is self-serving. It is, how do I just make a buck off of people? How do I overpromise and then underdeliver? And companies can't be associated with that. Yeah. So I think some of that is true, right? There's a bit of this space that has been that way. But I think the ones who wake up to the power of it go, oh, it can be all of these other things without the slime factor of that. If it's focused on service, and if you have every employee in your company out there talking about serving and helping and teaching and loving on people, like, your company is going to grow fast.
Yeah. You hit this with that last week, and you said if everybody referred to one person, we'd double. I started thinking about it. We brought that back to our mortgage company, by the way. And we're talking about, who do you know that should work here, that's like-minded, fits our culture, all these things. They're successful, they're elite in the things we do. And it's like, wow. And I'd love for you to talk about this, because the affiliate program you've rolled out, it's one of the few, like, you guys have taught me this as part of, Brian, you're already doing these things and setting up affiliates. I'd love for you to break that down, because I didn't know what affiliate, because you hear affiliate marketing, you're like, oh,
yeah,
there's just
again,
connotations,
some shadiness to
Yeah.
There's shadiness to the word sales, and like, it all depends on how you do it. So you're just saying, like, how do we do our affiliate strategy?
Well, it's affiliate strategy just in general. If somebody's out there and they're thinking, okay, I'm doing these things today. I've built a little bit maybe of a personal brand. Maybe they're a little bit further along. Someone like, I've been on the journey and I didn't even know about where to start with affiliates. But just break down how it works for you guys and the impact, because I think more people should be collaborating and being an affiliate with people you already work with. You already know them. You already trust them. You believe. I already love brand builders. Of course I'd be an affiliate. Because I know anyone that comes in there is going to have a better experience than they have currently. They're going to improve their life. They're going to make greater connections. And, oh, by the way, doing all that will probably make them a little bit of money.
Totally.
That wins.
So I think before I share the strategy, just to edify the philosophy of affiliate marketing, which is what we were just talking about. It's the idea that the fastest way to double your company is not strangers on the internet. It's to serve the people who are right in front of you. And if every one of them refer you one person, the company doubles. Like, which one has higher odds? The people who already love you and trust you and going, let's spend more time with the ones who we already have their contact information and they've already shown interest. Or how do we find random people on the internet to trust us to come work here or hire us for whatever? Like, no brainer. Yet somehow the world we live in, like, we're not seeing it, right? Like, people are not clicking.
They want
right?
new.
They want new. And part of that is you got to have a real gut check with your ego to go, how much of this is I really want to be famous? How much of this is I really want to be important? And I go, I have to check that myself too, and be like, I have to remind myself every day, that this is about service. In fact, there's this great Bible verse, I think it's Colossians 3:23, that's like, do everything you do unto the Lord. And I have to gut check to go, is what I am doing now really for the Lord, or is it really for me? And it's really tricky, because what I noticed is either way, it looks the same, right? Whether I'm doing this for myself or I'm doing for the Lord, I should be doing it with excellence. And I should be working at it hard, and I should be trying to do it in the best way possible. So how do I know if it's for me or if it's for the Lord? And I think the only answer that I could come up with is every day I wake up and I decide, Lord, I'm going to do this for you. Like, this is for you. I dedicate my life to you. Show me the way. Please work through me. And I think the same is true with like social. As you go, how do I know if I'm doing this in a self-serving way or a service-centered way? Because it looks the same. And the answer is, before you record every video, remind yourself, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for the person on the other side of this camera. Like, who's going to see this? And it's a more of an intention thing. So I think the philosophy is rooted in serving the current people. And we're so focused about the next customer, we forget about the current customer. And I just think that's a philosophy. Now, in terms of the strategy or the tactics, so our affiliate program is super duper simple. So we pay a 10% lifetime referral fee on any strategy services that we sell from anyone we meet. The goal is that you or any of our clients would be out there referring us people anyways. But I go, rather than paying the money to Zuckerberg to run ads on his machine or buying a billboard or doing a TV commercial or what, like, rather than paying money to strangers, why don't I take that same money and pay it to the people again? Like, my customers, our team members, our affiliates, like, why don't I pay it to them And then it's like, we're in this together. We're keeping the money together. It's like it becomes like this extended family business. And some of our people make like serious dough. I don't think they'd mind me sharing this, but like Lewis Howes, Ed Milet, Amy Porterfield, they're clients of ours. Jenna Kutcher, not a client, but close friend. They've made tens of thousands of dollars from having me on one podcast interview.
Yeah.
But only after they worked with us. Only after they got to know us. That's so great. I like to think that they would be my friend anyway, but it helps that they get checks from us every single month.
Yeah.
Right? And we're an extension of them, right? So now I'm also committed. I get somebody, a new lead off of Facebook. I don't know that person. They don't know me. But if Brian Covey sends me his brother-in-law or his, friend from college, like, I have a commitment to Brian, because now Brian's reputation is on the line. Not just my reputation. Brian's reputation is on the line. So if Lewis or Amy or Ed, if they send someone to us to say, hey, this is worth the time to go look at, like, their reputation is on the line. I am now an extension of them. And that matters a lot to me, right? Like, I can handle people being pissed off at me. I can't handle them being pissed off at you for you referring them to me. That's a whole different thing. So that's how we do it. And, the other part of it is, like, it's a pain. Like, we write the email, and this is one of the things with, like, if it's, we have, like, links, like the link that we've got here for you is our clients get a link, and it's a unique link to them, right? If you go to that freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey, you'll see your picture on it at the top. Like so there's work there, right? There's real work to build you a dedicated page. But most of the referrals don't come through the links. They come from a text message from Brian or an email. And so we write the language. So a lot of times I'll get a message from someone like you, or you work with Elle on our team, right?
Yeah.
And you'll text Elle and you'll be like, hey, I have this friend Amber Lee Lago. We love Amber Lee, right? Amber Lee. We met Amber Lee through you.
Yeah.
You go, I have this friend Amber Lee Lago, and she's like super cool, and she fits right in with the culture. She's gonna love you guys. And Elle goes, so awesome. We'd love to meet her. Send her this message. And then we write the email so that you can copy, paste, and send. And then we pay you the money for it. And we try to make it as easy as possible. All of marketing and sales is about reducing friction to take the next step. So if someone's going to refer you, you have to be easy to be referred, which means your product has to be good. Your marketing has to be good, right? You don't want to refer someone and then my website is crappy and outdated and like all janky on mobile. Like, that doesn't make you look good.
No.
And you certainly don't want them to buy from us and then they have a crappy experience. They don't get onboarded. Nobody cares. They never get the stuff they paid for. Like, no bueno. Again, serve your current customers. Get all that cleaned up before you go get 1 million followers. Like, serve the current people. And then write the paragraph. Just copy, paste, send. And then we send you massive passive mailbox money. So, that's it. Like, that's how we do it.
Well, I love you share that, because what I found is, like, my whole thing with that was, Rory, when I came in and I was exposed to things that could help me improve my life and help me accomplish goals that I was struggling to do by myself or with others, why would I not share that with my friends? And by the way, the money's not, like, that's cool, but I have a friend, I see their potential, I want them to win, and when they come in the community, what I've found, if someone comes in, like, I'm checking in on them. I'm supporting their content more. It's
too.
like that connection where I go, man, now I feel responsible. Like, you feel responsible that I referred them. I feel responsible. Go, look, you're going to love it here. This is going to help you accomplish your goals. So I'm in going, hey, you need to go to this event. You need to do this. I'm going to support your content. Let's collab.
And now the rising tide raises all ships.
That's it.
And that's what's happening here, right? Like, we have these, I think our 6th client just had a TED Talk go viral. We've had 9 clients grow their annual revenue more than $1 million a year, right? Since joining, like $1 million a year. Like, people are making real bank, and it's because they're helping each other in this community. And again, it's not that we have it all figured out. It's the principles of human nature, though. Like, if we're in this together, we're in this together. And what happens is when we're in this together, we all win. So many business owners they care about making the sale, and then they're out. They never
right.
check on you again. It's like, okay, they're sold, like, see you later. And even though our onboarding process is crappy and their experience is crappy, and like, we don't really care. I mean, some of us, here's how you know. If you're afraid to call your past clients, that's how you know your systems are not tight. Straight up, if you have fear around calling your past customers, it's because you're not 100% confident that your customer experience is tight. In some cases, we might be afraid that they never even got the thing they paid for. And, that's best case, worst case scenario, that's worst case scenario. But like, we're far from going, yeah, I'll call and check in on so-and-so that, I haven't talked to them in 8 months. I know they're going to be ecstatic to hear from me because they're going, oh, I love working with Elle and the events and da-da-da-da. And that really is my wife that gets all the credit for that. That has nothing to do with Rory. Like, AJ runs the ship. She runs the house. She holds the team accountable. Like, and AJ's really the one with the philosophy of going, we're not going to focus on new customers if our current customers are not being blown away. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to spend money on new customers if our current customers aren't going to be blown away, because then we're just spending money on new customers who are going to be leaving. It's just a treadmill. Yeah. We gotta close the back door and make this thing rock, and then we can worry about more awareness and more attention and all that stuff. I mean, we spent 5 years. We're just now really starting to even do any marketing. It's all been referrals.
It's been incredible to see. Okay, one last question, because I could talk to you for 5 hours.
Me too, buddy. I feel like I respect you so much. This is so fun.
It's so fun because I feel like I'm learning, but at the same time, I know we're going to bless a lot of people. They're going to listen to this and go, something's going to resonate. I mean, throughout this conversation, I'm just like, man, honored. What have I not asked you about personal brand or about where you see things going over the next 3 to 5 years that people should be paying attention to, but maybe no one's talking about that today? What have we missed?
What a great question. I mean, what have you not asked me about personal branding that we should be talking about? I think we should be talking more about the foundation part, which is like, if you're not centered spiritually, you're going to struggle with all of this. Mm-hmm. And even if you're successful, you're going to keep working. You're going to be a workaholic. You're going to become addicted to followers. You're going to become addicted to money. You're going to become addicted to the next stage and the next book deal and the next title and the next, mastermind you get invited to, and like the next private, who do I know? Like, you're going to become addicted to it. And I think what a lot of entrepreneurs need to know is that peace is the new profit. Like, peace is the new profit. It's really about peace, right? It does take some money to have peace, but it doesn't take all the dollars in the world, right? Peace is about your relationships. It's your health. It's like how the margin of your calendar, and also working really hard. Like, a lot of people retire and die. Like, they don't have meaning. Our lives have meaning in the context of serving other people. Yeah. Right? So peace is really, to me, the thing that kind of pulls all these different scoreboards together and just go, doesn't matter how much money you have, how many followers you are, what your job title is, how many awards you've won. Do you feel peaceful? If you don't, something's out of whack.
That's right.
And it's usually because there is an uncenteredness spiritually. So I actually did this, I don't think I've talked about this on anybody's show yet. So last year, it was like a year ago, it was around Easter, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had this really scary thought. I have 2 boys, mm-hmm. And in my personal life, in my professional life, I do all the stuff that we've talked about. In my personal life, I'm a giant nerd. I'm a huge data research person. In my personal life, I spent 20 years analyzing, dissecting, critiquing, challenging all of the assumptions about Jesus of Nazareth, going, how do we know this guy really lived? What proof is there that he was an actual deity? How in the world could anybody believe in miracles? Most of all, what what sane, logical person could ever possibly believe that somebody resurrected from the dead? What evidence is there at all that is anything reasonable that actually happened? And then I spent 20 years analyzing that, and I came up with very solid answers. Mm-hmm. I came to the conclusion that we think that people don't believe in Jesus because of a lack of faith. But I now believe it's not because of a lack of faith, but a lack of research. People haven't taken the time to ask those questions and to go on that academic journey. Mm-hmm. And so, churches and family and friends say, I want you to just believe out of your heart. And for some people, that's not enough. They go, I struggle with some of this. Mm-hmm. But then they don't actually take the time to go on the journey, because it's a long, boring one. Like, it's a painful one. I mean, it starts out boring. It becomes very, very exciting. And so anyway, so I did that for 20 years. But then, and I came to this piece about myself, like, I'm super secure in all of this stuff. And then I had this thought. I woke up literally in the middle of the night. I was like, wait a minute. What happens if I die before my two boys are old enough for me to share with them the summary of what I have found over 20 years of exploring this evidence? And that freaked me out, because I was like,
oh yeah,
I could die tomorrow. And at that point, who would be around to actually tell them any of this? I mean, AJ, fortunately, or hopefully, right? So, but she's not as nerd as I am. So she very, on the faith side and stuff. She reads a lot, but apologetics is what this is called, the analysis of this. And so I was like, I need to record an episode. I just need to record this for my boys. Like, here's all the reasons why Daddy, the logical, academic, historical, evidence-based reasons why Daddy has come to believe in Jesus of Nazareth. And I was like, I'm just going to record this for them, one special episode on my podcast. So I sat down to record it, and it is 27 hours of content that I had summarized. I had no idea that I had gathered so much. And 27 hours of that content that's too much to put on our normal podcast, right? Like the Influential Personal Brand podcast, people are not signing up to go learn about this. So I was like, I'm just going to dump it on a separate podcast. So we started a separate podcast. It's not a continuity one. It's all there. It's 15 episodes. It's called Eternal Life, 7 questions every intelligent skeptic should ask about Jesus of Nazareth. Wow. And it is question number 1, what's your strategy for death? Right? Like, you may not believe any of this. No problem. What's your strategy for death? All of us are going to die. Are you super clear on what happens after you die? And if you are, what evidence do you have that makes you believe that the thing that you believe is actually true? And you don't have to have evidence. You can just say, well, I believe I'm reincarnated just because I believe that. And I go, sure, if that works for you. But if you go, I would like to have a little more confidence academically of what support is there that actually comes true. Yeah. Question number 1, what's your strategy for death? Question number 2, what evidence is there that this Jesus person lived? Like, how do we even know homeboy was a human? Because that's part of the story, right? Is like, he was a person. Very different about any other faith. Like, he is a deity that walked as a man. So we go, okay, let's start there. How do we know this guy was even person? Great. Question number 3. Well, couldn't he have just been a good teacher? Like, was he just a good motivational speaker or teacher? How do we know he was something more? Question number 4 is, okay, well, what evidence is there that he was actually a deity? Like, how do we know that there was something different about him? And then question number 5, which is the longest, is what evidence is there for a resurrection? And it turns out that is 4 episodes alone. Of the 27 hours, I think 12 of the hours is just the resurrection of breaking down. Here's how
we know.
We know. And then question number 6 is, okay, so how exactly do you get into heaven? And then question 7 is what heaven will be like. And it's not sponsored by anyone. There's no money. We don't have anything to sell. It's not involved with any church. I'm not a pastor. Like I'm not, your guy Rory is like not a pastor. This is for my boys. And I just said, all right, if I'm going to create it for them, I might as well dump it out there on the internet. And it was a huge project, took forever. And so it's out there. Now, again, that's what I believe. If you want to know why I believe it, boom, there you go. I do think you should take the time to explore that. But even if you're adamantly opposed to Christianity, okay, fine. I still would say, if you're not completely clear on what you believe, until you get clear, you're going to be on shaky ground, and none of this other stuff is going to matter. You think the job title, you think the promotion, you think the followers, you think the stages, you think the bestseller. I'm telling you, I am around the richest, most successful, most famous freaking people there are. I mean, we had 4 clients last year, 4 that are billionaires with the B, like private, like these people have real dough.
Yeah.
Like real dough. If they're not clear on that, they're not clear on anything.
That's right.
So I know that feels like it's probably off the beaten path, but that's just, you asked me what I think. Like that's what it comes down to.
Dude, I love it. And it just brought me back to when I was in high school and my dad gave me a book, The Case for Christ, Lee Strobel.
Yeah, that's it.
And I remember along that journey, everybody's got to go through that and find that themselves, because my dad would always say, like, look, he's a pastor and psychologist. Like, he can't pass his faith to me. We have to go on the journey. And so people listening, I hope they do take that advice if they're not a believer today and go, I'm going to explore this for myself. So I think it's perfect, because
even if I go, okay, if you're already a Christian, but you kind of go like, yeah, it'd be good to know more about why. That's right. A good person. Or if you're just a curious explorer, you go, perfect for you to listen to. Or if you're an intelligent skeptic who just wants to go, I just want to be clear on exactly what it is I don't believe about Christianity. Yeah.
Go all of them.
Let's go explore it. And no one's going to know. Like,
yeah.
It's podcast, so it's just you and the information.
I love it. That's the joy of these conversations, is you don't know where they're going to go, but they go where
Didn't know it was going to go there, buddy. I did.
But you know what? It's one of the things I love about you and AJ is that you're just unashamed to share that part of your faith. And the way that you share it is very inviting of, hey, this is what we believe. And I think this is what the show was created for, is I want people, yes, to improve your life in all these areas, build your brand, do all these really cool things. But let's get this right. And that's where we've just never shied away from. People who've come on, I love when they go this way, because it's never intentional, it's never forced, and you shared from your heart, which I think people are going to resonate. So
thank you. It would be dishonest to not, right? You don't have to be a Christian to get value from what we do at Brand Builders Group. Like, the techniques will work, but it's just, even if they work, you're not going to find what you're really looking for if you're not clear on all of that. So it's like it wouldn't really be honest to hold that piece back, because that's what it is. That's what it is.
It's who you are. Yeah, it's who God created you to be. And my friend, thank you. This has been, and I mean this sincerely, this has been like literally one of my favorite conversations, not just podcasts, but like just the way that you show up and who you are and like what you've been through and your story. I know we need to cover a lot of it. People will go and follow you. We'll put the links and all that. And I hope they'll engage in that, because what you and AJ are doing, you're changing lives. And yes, you're doing it through the vehicle that God's put you in and brand and all that. But the reality is, like, I got to see it last week firsthand, of the lives that are changed, relationships built. And now it really challenged me to, okay, what else should I and can I be doing where I am to go deeper? And so I just want to say thank you, because yes, you've been TEDx talks and all these best-selling books and all these things that you've done, but I think you shared the real mission there today, and it's going to touch people.
I hope so. Thank you for having me. And I would, the last thing I would just sort of leave everybody with is, if you listen to this episode and somewhere along the line you said, you felt this prompting, like, man, I do have something to share with the world, right? Like, I do have knowledge. I do feel compelled or called to help somebody. We believe that the calling that you feel on your heart is actually the result of a signal that's being sent out from someone else in the world who needs you. and that frequency is coming because they need you more than you need them. And so if you can't create a personal brand for any other reason, just go, man, if I was driving down the road and I saw a car flip over on the side, wouldn't I stop to help that person? And if you would, you go, well, if I feel that calling, that's because there's people out there who are searching, they're seeking, they are quite possibly on their hands and knees praying for answers to questions that you know like the back of your hand. You literally are an answer to somebody's prayer, and you'll never even know that you were the answer. And if you're not building the personal brand, it's usually because of fear, and fear is always self-centered. How am I going to look? Are people going to think I'm stupid? Do I have the right equipment? I don't know. Are they going to like what I say? Is my boss going to be pissed off? Am I going to get fired? Some of those are maybe legitimate concerns, but like, it's all self-centered. But there is no fear when the mission to serve becomes clear. Mm-hmm. The moment I start thinking about, man, there's a couple right now that's fighting over money, and I've been a financial advisor for 25 years. They don't have to become a client of mine to change their life if I just tell them these 3 principles. That's right. And I can record it in 5 minutes and not even write a script or think about it. That is what you should do. Yes. That is what you should do. And if you said you wanted to create impact, create impact. Mm-hmm. And you go, well, how do I make money? Who cares about money? You said you want to create impact. Impact. You said you want to change lives? Change lives.
That's right.
Like, share what you know. Serve people, make a difference. And they're out there waiting for you, so go get them.
That's the word, man. Oh, you fired me up. I am excited, and thank you for just how you've shown up today. I know this is going to bless people, and I can't wait for them to listen to this and the clips that they get to actually go change their lives, because this will be things that we can use to impact people together. And so thank you for the impact you've had in my life and my family. I don't get to tell you that enough.
Amen, my brother.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, guys, obviously you can tell I have absolutely loved this episode. You're going to rewind it back. I'm going to have to listen to this one a few times, because as you're in the moment, you're listening, you don't get to appreciate all of the bombs that Rory dropped. And I encourage you guys, we're going to put the link in for the free brand call /Brian Covey. You want to connect up with brand builders. I'll tell you, they have changed my life, our clients, and what we're doing. It is a huge part of our strategy. But more importantly, for your life, you have a calling. You have something you want to do bigger. You want to impact more people. Wherever you are and wherever you want to go, that gap can be closed by you taking action. And so that could be the first step you take. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, check out the podcast, the other episodes. Let us know how we have helped you today with today's episodes. I love the feedback because it gives us guidance and a little bit of direction of where we should go. And make sure you reach out, connect up with Rory and Brand Builders. You're going to follow them and make sure that you are doing great things in this world. So thank you for tuning in. It's always a blessing to hear back from all of you. And until then, go out there, do something great, serve other people. That is the way that we impact the world together. Catch you on the next episode.